Hello, everybody. It is Monday, the 19th of August. Now, I want to talk about a few things here, and let's start with. I'm sorry, I'm going back to the law of Moses, but I have to make it a bit more clear, and it became a bit more clear to myself yesterday when I was listening to Mauro Baglino. You know, I'm actually reading his book at the moment, the Gods of the Bible, where he's going into the Bible translations to see what it actually says. Now they're going down the way of they were alien entities here, which I would go with. I would actually go with that. But as I said, they're leaving out the spiritual part of it all. Yeah, it's now all just aliens. And especially, yesterday he was talking about the commandments, and that was actually really important. He was starting with the 10 commandments, the ones that Moses received on top of the mountain. And then he goes into the law of Moses itself, which was given at a different time. Yeah? And he said that those laws were given by the same entity, and they were not. Absolutely not. One was the truth of the God of this world, and the other was given by that alien entity. Now, whether that was a physical experience at that time, or whether, again, information was derived through channeling, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how the information was conveyed, only that it was. Right, so I want to start with the 10 Commandments, and when he was going through them, like you shall not lie, you shall not steal, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not bear false witness, all these things, you shall not covet thy neighbor's house, and his wife, his oxen, his donkeys. So when I looked at those commandments, and it came to me straight away, like a knowing, that is what you would teach a small child. That is what we are teaching our children. Yeah, and we know that as truth. Yeah. And Mauro's going on again, saying that this is the evil Yahweh entity that is restraining everybody because he just wants to rule over them. And said, we are not giving that knowledge to our children because we want to rule over them, or because we want to, well, actually we do want to have dominion over them, otherwise they would wreck the house. But it is not done out of evil, it's done out of love. And many times to keep them safe, And I mean, I have a 3-year-old in the house. Yeah, and when Lily is on a mission, do I turn into an ogre? Absolutely I do. Do I turn into this mighty being that has got lots of negative commandments? Yes. Don't do that. Don't touch that. Don't say that. Get away from there. Yeah, I can do that all day long. And in Lily's mind, do I turn into this mighty being that is just, out to get her? It probably is. That is not the truth. And as the 3-year-old, she cannot see that truth. I hope she grows up one day to see why and understand why, that it was done out of love. So when Mauro was going on about, this evil entity that is doing all these things, I left a comment under his video, but the question I really wanted to ask him is, what age are you? I mean, you look like an adult. You don't sound like an adult. You don't seem to have adult understanding. Anyway, so that is, and as I said before, I really believe that this law came out of Moses himself. Yeah, that was a knowledge that came out of him. And the law was given not only to Moses, but to that thing that would lead them through. That was a contract. Both of them were under that contract. Yeah, that is the truth of the living God. And again, the first commandment says, again, if you say that is Yahweh, he wants to be the only one. That is actually not what the first commandment says. It says, I am the Lord your God. Yeah? You shall have no other gods before me. Before me. So what about after? There was something there that led them that I would say was not human. So the Lord, the Ten Commandments, the law of God, is standing on top, and everything that follows from there must be according to it. You can follow other gods, but this is the law. Yeah? So, and then what happens in the law of Moses, if that is the truth, the Ten Commandments is the truth, then there was a deviation from the truth, and I want to show you this. Morrow again said that, you should honor your mother and father, which yes, we do want our children should honor their elders. Actually, there should be a lot more of honoring your mother and father going on in this world, because they're running riot, the youngsters, a lot of them. Yeah? So that is truth. But then in the law of Moses, it says, if your child is rebellious against you, you should hand them over to the elders, and they will take them outside of the city or whatever to get stoned. Now, would you do that? Is that your truth? Now, our children get rebellious, yes, we tell them off, we might even imprison them in their room, and if we're really cruel, we take away the PlayStation. Yeah? Would you, honest to God, take your child out to be stoned because it doesn't obey you? See, there is where it deviates from our truth and from the truth of the living God, because he said, honor your mother and father. He said, that law says nothing about taking them out to get stoned. And it says, you shall not steal. Again, are we teaching that our children? I mean, in this house, I'm teaching Lily. And you should not take that which belongs to somebody else. I teach that to Lily. Yeah, if it belongs to another member of the household, don't touch that. That is not yours. Or if you want it, go and ask for permission. Again, that is our truth. But then if your child does steal something of somebody else in the household, would you take an axe and chop off their hand? Again, that's where it deviates from our truth. And that is actually not human. I mean, for me to think that I take an axe and chop off somebody else's hand, there is something absolutely within me that will say, God, no. God, no. I can't, I won't. So, most certainly not my own child. And there is a thought that is alien to us, should be alien to us. It is not according to our truth. Now there are those in this world who would, even now in this day and age, yeah, they are still in some rural areas stoning women mostly, it's usually females. Yeah, they would kill their daughters, they would kill their sisters. Because that law, like the law of Moses, has taken precedent over the law of the living God and how far you should go. Yeah? They are ruled over by something that should be alien to a human being. It should not be natural to a human being to do that. It's not natural. But for them, that law has taken over. And it shouldn't have done. There is no other God before me. The natural law, that the truth within us stands. Now, obviously, once that thing, whatever that was, that alien thing, started leading them, they Moses, for certain, suppressed his own truth. Why? Well, one of the reasons may have been fear. Yeah? Fear of the Mighty One and what he would do if you don't go according to what he tells you. And I mean, again, there's things in the Bible, you go up against it, he'll open the ground below your feet and he swallows your entire household. That would create fear. Yeah? But again, they had a contract. There was a contract that that thing would be their guide. Yeah, and obviously when the thing, that alien thing, is doing these things against the contract, then you would say he's in breach of contract is over, null and void, go away. We'll no longer follow you, you are in breach of contract. So why did Moses not do that? I would say because there was something at the end of that journey that they wanted. Yeah? And there again we compromise with our own truth in order to get what we want in the end, to get to the outcome. And that is, I would say, what Moses did. He compromised the truth of the living God in order to get to the outcome, to that promised land. And again, and then Joshua elevated that thing to be God, to be the only true God. Yeah, my children have forgotten me, the first one that gave the Ten Commandments, the living God of this world. My children have forgotten me and they worship other gods. Yeah, and Joshua recounts the story of what was going on, and and he got us here and he gave us all these things. We have houses we haven't built, we have vineyards we haven't planted, we drove out all the people, completely contradictory to the Ten Commandments. And he says, this may seem evil unto you. Yeah, it might. But we will serve this Lord. And we will serve him in fear. Because you will be in fear, because there's still something. If you can still feel fear, or any emotions at all, that means there's still a truth inside of you that is speaking to you. Yeah? And the more you beat these things, your lower nature, the more you beat that away, the more you will disconnect from the truth that is within you. Because those are the messengers of God that you no longer hear. Right, now this is where I want to go next, and this is taking a slight shift here, and that is the idea that something happened to us. Yeah, that when they came, something happened to us. There was some genetic engineering going on. And it is actually what is described in the Bible. God says, we will create man in our image, male and female. Yeah? Again, female being the rational mind, it's the brain. Male, Adam, is the one that has the knowledge of good and bad, is connected to God. It is the man that has become as a God. Yeah? And that is your emotional knowing. That is your feeling knowing. So, and we said male and female. If we were part of nature before, and you look at nature now, at the mammals, which is the group that we are part of, most of them don't have much of a brain. Yeah? If you look at your dog, your cat, anything really, and you see the size of the head and their forehead, and you think the size, you look at birds. There's not even pea-sized brain in there. But yet they are connected, but they are connected in a different way. Their knowing is coming not through thought, not to brain function, but through something else. Again, that was that knowing that brought the Ten Commandments, not the brain. And I was just yesterday, my dog was sitting out in the yard. and the way they do, they sit extremely still and just with their head toward the wind. And I was thinking, what do you know? Sitting there, what information are you getting? Because if I go out and stand beside him with my head to the wind, all I can think is it's bloody cold. It was bloody cold. So they get their knowing from something else, and we used to do that. We used to be part of that knowing. But then God creates man, male and female. So what this tweaking of the DNA actually did mostly was it increased the size of our brain, and it gave us the ability for speech. Which again, most of mammals in this world, they can't make enough sounds to have speech. Most of them, I come to one that has, but most of them don't. So again, they do not verbally communicate with one another. To an extent they do, growling sounds and stuff like that, but that is again probably combined with an energy that the other animal reads. The growling sound is just an extra. But they read energies. That's what they do. And it's probably what we used to do until we got the bigger brain and the speech. And then we shifted to relying more on that than on our other knowing. The knowing of our lower nature. And what it creates is, because the brain can reason, it can, by itself, without a husband, without the other knowing. And then it can actually think outside of the box, outside of the law, outside of the other knowing of good and bad. It can independently create things. That is the state of Sophia. I just want to read you very quickly a passage here of the Nag Hammadi scriptures, and that is from the Gospel of Truth. Just the first thing. Ignorance brings error. All have thought for the one from whom they have come forth. All thought for the one from whom they have come forth. All have been within him, the illimitable one, the inconceivable, who is beyond all thought. Again, he is beyond thought. You cannot know him through thought. He's beyond thought. But ignorance of the Father brought terror and fear. Terror grew dense like a fog, so that no one could see. Thus error grew powerful. She worked on her material substance in vain. Since she did not know the truth, she assumed a fashioned figure and prepared with power and in beauty, a substitute for truth. And here is our brain is creating substances, forms, as a substitute for the truth, for the true knowing of the living God, which is feeling. You know him through feeling, not thought. And then the thought should know, the feeling should come first, and then the thought should know the feeling, and then she can create. There's nothing wrong with creating itself, but it should be based on the truth and not by herself, because by herself she's a psychopath. And again, everybody's driven into this. God is in your head. No, he's not. He's in your gut. Now, I want to talk about, there is one other mammal in this world that has got the capability of making enough sounds to make a more complicated speech. and that is the whale. And I was thinking about the whale songs, and are they actually conveying like knowledge to one another, ideas of what to do next, stuff like that, that is disconnected from their other truth? Or are they still within the other truth? And their song is only conveying that truth as sound. Because our speech is disconnected. We are conveying ideas, we can think outside of the box, we're conveying ideas that are no longer connected to our greater truth, to our greater knowing. We've moved, we are separating from ourselves, within ourselves. That the higher knowledge is separating more and more from the knowledge of this world. And this is where we're going wrong. And this is why evil is in this world. Because we are not our truth, because we are not connected with the truth of this world. The evil is not in the world. It is in us, not in our ignorance. It is our ignorance that creates evil. We are disconnected from the truth. So, and again, what happens is, well, one thing is we listen to an alien voice. Obviously, that, if it says chop off the hand of a person because they were stealing, that is not our truth. There's something inside of that would absolutely revolt against that, especially when it's your own child. And then the other thing we did is messengers. The messengers of God, our emotions that convey a knowledge. We are elevating one to become God. That's what Joshua did. Fear would become God. And then everybody's running around, other sheep are running around. Satan is the God of this world. No, he's not. You're elevating an angel to becoming a God. You're making one part all. Yeah? And then to those now, again, there is a song that will be sung by the 144,000 that were sealed. They were sealed, again, on one bandwidth, compassion, and they're sealed in that bandwidth. And when they sing their song, that will not be the fullness of the truth either, because it does not come out of the full knowledge of God. Again, one angel was elevated to become God, and that is not the truth. And then the last thing I want to say, to those that are actually sealed or trying to seal themselves on that bandwidth, and that now, honest to God, going around saying, well, God is love, God is compassion, God is forgiveness, I think they will be in for a very rude awakening, because there's more to him than that. You are his image, you know his truth within yourself. Yeah? And yes, we are his children, and yes, he's a long-suffering father. Yeah, and sometimes we are long-suffering with our kids, but at some point we will snap, and so will he. And here's the thing, yeah? Again, know it in yourself. Know the truth inside of yourself. If you let things into your house, and they are wrecking the place, and at the moment we are full on wrecking the house of God, this world, we're trashing it. Yeah? And then what is your truth? Will you stand there and give, and love and compassion and forgive them forever? Or would you at some point throw them out of your house? And then, is it honest to God your truth that when you do that, you throw them out of your house, you then beat yourself up because you were the evil one? Would you honestly, then your whole knowledge of good and bad and of creating good and bad outcomes is completely skew with. Completely. Yeah? No, you're not supposed to sit there and let them trash the house. And yes, you should stand up for your truth. And what they're doing is not right, and then you chuck them out if they won't listen. There's the rupture. People will get chucked out because they weren't listening. And they will receive according to what they are. They will go to another world. They will go to a heaven. And they will receive according to what they are. And again, if the law of Moses given by God, by that alien thing that he elevated, that he followed, yeah? If the God of this world says, you shall not steal, again, you shall not steal, let's go with that. And then there's an extension to that by the alien one, saying you shall not steal, and if you do your hand gets chopped off, then is the law of the alien one greater? By chopping off somebody else's hand, do you become the greater being? I would say not. You are going down. You are going down from something that was good. Yeah, there are ways. I mean, you must prevent them from stealing, yes, but there are ways by which you teach them, by which you lead them like a child, hopefully creating a correction inside of them, but without the use of barbaric violence. So there you go, you're going from a being that knows, and I mean that compassion is involved in that then, obviously. So you're going from a being that is multidimensional, that can do something and you're falling down by following the law of Moses. You are descending into something that is completely barbaric. And then how is that great? It is not. But the truth of the living God is within us. He does send his angels. And when you get the messenger, fear, anger, something like that, it is not that you should be ruled over by that messenger, or God forbid you should become that messenger. But that is the moment where you should seek the one that is sending the messenger to get the knowledge. That means you have to go deeper. And yeah, I don't know then, feeling. It is feeling. It's not thought. Thought does not know. Thought is ignorance. Unless she receives of her husband. Anyway, folks, here, I leave it at that for today. And I talk to you again soon. Bye.